Welcome to today's Explainer. I am incredibly excited to dive into this one with you because we are looking at the ultimate engine for sustainable business growth. We're stepping completely away from those fleeting short-term hacks, and instead we're going to explore how to build reliable, repeatable systems. Today, we are unpacking the definitive playbook on growth experimentation and A/B testing. Okay, let's dive into this by picturing a scenario you have probably lived through. You're sitting in a boardroom, right? The team is trying to figure out how to hit this quarter's massive targets. Someone leans forward and says, "Well, I think customers want a free trial." Then someone else chimes in, "Actually, I think this new landing page headline is way better." Or, "You know what? I think we just need to send more emails." Sound familiar? The harsh reality is that most growth decisions in companies today are driven by pure opinions, personal preferences, and, honestly, straight-up guessing.
And that brings us to the million-dollar question. But how do you actually know? How does a company actually prove which of those brainstormed ideas will work before burning through tons of time and blowing the budget? Because the market might behave entirely differently than your team expects. A beautiful, award-winning design might completely confuse your users, and a catchy headline that the CEO absolutely loves might completely fail to convert.
To solve that, here's the clear playbook we're going to follow today. Number 1, stop guessing, start testing. Number 2, the anatomy of an experiment. Number 3, choosing your growth metrics. Number 4, real-world A/B tests. And finally, number 5, avoiding common testing mistakes. Let's get right into it. Stop guessing, start testing. It is all about moving from opinion to solid evidence. Without this shift, you're just arguing over opinions. But your customers should always be the ultimate judge. So let's define what this actually looks like in practice. A growth experiment is a structured test designed to improve a specific business metric. Now, that word structured is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. We aren't just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. This is a highly disciplined way to learn quickly and, most importantly, reduce risk. And the absolute go-to tool in that toolkit is A/B testing. At its core, this is simply a method of comparing two versions of something to see which performs better. You take version A, which is usually your current existing version, and you show it to one group of people. Then you show version B, your shiny new idea, to another group. Then you step back and measure real user behavior to crown the actual winner. Moving to section 2, the anatomy of an experiment. Let's look at the actual science of growth and the mechanics of building a proper test. Now, what's really interesting about this framework is that every good experiment has to start with a totally clear, focused foundation. We call this the golden hypothesis formula. It goes exactly like this. If we do X, then Y will improve because Z. So for example, if we shorten the sign-up form, the conversion rate will increase because users will face less friction. It's brilliant because it perfectly focuses the team's thinking. Without it, you don't really know what you're testing or why. Beyond just having that hypothesis, a valid experiment requires a few other key components. You need a clear goal, a target audience, a success metric, a defined time period, and a next action based on your learnings. But take a close look at that control group requirement. This is the group of users that receives absolutely zero changes. You have to have this baseline. If you don't, you might just end up taking credit for a totally random seasonal surge in traffic when your test actually did nothing at all. All right, section 3, choosing your growth metrics. Because measuring what actually matters is absolutely crucial. And this brilliantly illustrates why you have to be so careful here. Choosing the wrong metric can completely mislead your team. Imagine drastically increasing your email open rates, but at the same time, completely tanking your reply rates. That's why we divide things into leading and lagging metrics. Leading metrics give you those early signals of progress. Think email clicks or demo requests. Lagging metrics, on the other hand, show the final business outcomes, like actual revenue or closed-won customers. A great experiment always considers both. Because if a test generates a massive spike in leads, but none of those leads ever pull out their credit cards, well, the experiment wasn't exactly a success, was it? Let's shift gears to section 4, real-world A/B tests. I want to show you some rapid-fire examples of what these experiments look like out in the wild. First up, a classic landing page test for a company selling corporate AI training. Version A's headline is pretty standard, AI training for business teams. But version B is much more outcome-focused. It says, prepare your workforce for practical AI adoption. So they ran the test. The result? Version B generated a whopping 30% more consultation requests. Why did it win?
simply because business leaders and HR professionals understood the actual value much better. Next, let's look at a demo form test. Version A asks the user for everything upfront, 8 form fields, including their phone number and their budget. Version B strips it all back to just 5 essential fields. The outcome? Version B actually doubled the number of form submissions by reducing that friction. But here is the fascinating twist. When the team tracked the supporting lagging metrics, they saw that lead quality dropped significantly. It just proves that a higher conversion rate isn't automatically a win if your lead quality takes a nosedive. How about a pricing page? In version A, the pricing is displayed immediately. In version B, they show the pricing, but they surround it with an ROI calculator and customer proof. The test showed that adding that ROI proof heavily increased their enterprise inquiries because buyers had a much clearer understanding of the business value. Just a quick note here, though. Pricing experiments are tricky. You have to handle them very carefully to maintain customer trust and avoid creating unfair experiences. As you can see, this structure testing builds across the entire customer journey. A/B testing isn't just some marketing gimmick reserved for landing pages. It literally applies everywhere. In the awareness stage, you can test YouTube thumbnails or ad creatives. In product activation, maybe you test adding a simple onboarding checklist to boost user engagement. In retention and expansion, you could test personalized health alerts or upsell offers. The opportunities to test are everywhere. Finally, Section 5, avoiding common testing mistakes. These are your guardrails for growth to make sure you aren't wasting resources. Let's de-jargonize some statistical concepts real quick. Specifically, sample size and statistical confidence. Think about a test with just 10 people in it versus a test with 1,000 people. If version B wins out of just 10 people, that result might literally just be random chance, a fluke. But if it wins decisively in a 1,000-person test, that is highly reliable. The big takeaway for you here? Be patient. Never declare a winner too early just because those initial numbers look exciting on day 2. Now, once you really start testing, you're going to quickly end up with a massive backlog of ideas. So how do you choose what to do first? Growth teams often use what's called an ICE scoring model. You rate an experiment idea based on its potential impact, your confidence that it will actually work, and the ease of implementation, usually rating each from 1 to 10. Tally those up, and boom, suddenly you have a data-backed priority list, meaning you aren't just guessing what to build next. So the crucial point is avoiding the false winner trap. This can derail your growth incredibly fast. A false winner happens when you test way too many things at once, so you have no idea what actually caused the improvement. It happens when you stop a test too early. It happens when you ignore lead quality just to celebrate high volume. And sadly, it happens when you use manipulative, unethical design just to trick users into clicking. Tricking people might give you a short-term lift, sure, but it ultimately destroys long-term trust and ruins your data. To keep all of this on track, you really need revenue operations, or RevOps. They are essentially the backbone of proper experimentation. RevOps ensures you have crystal clean CRM data. That way, your teams can see the full end-to-end revenue impact of any test, not just the top-of-funnel clicks. They are the ones connecting those early leading metrics directly to your final bottom-line lagging outcomes. Which leaves us with this final thought. Take a really hard look at your team's current strategies. Ask yourself, are your biggest business decisions right now being driven by boardroom opinions and guesswork? Or are you ready to stop guessing and finally let your customers' actual behavior show you the truth? The evidence is out there waiting for you. It's time to start testing.